what's IPv4? So IPv4, it's a kind of address that hosts, printers, routers, switches using to identify each other. So the basic concept of IPv4 is the IPv4, it's a decimal number 2 up to 32, which equals 4.2 billion of IP addresses. So the size of IPv4 is massive, is huge, 2.4 billion of possible IP address. But unfortunately, this number, it wasn't enough. Let's say in in February of 2011, the IANA announced the IPv4 has been exhausted. But we're gonna talk about this on the next video, which is gonna be about public and private IP address. Focus on this video in here, the IPv4. It's a decimal number. We can represent this number to identify the PCs, the hosts in our network. So, for example, if I got two human beings, two people in here, two guys in here, and they want to talk to each other, they're using names to identify. For example, I got a Bob in here, and I got a Mike in here. So, if Bobby wants to call Mike, it says just, "Hey, Mike, how you doing? Let's do this, let's do that," and so on and so forth. For the machines as well. For the machines, we use the same concept, but we don't use names. We use the IP addresses. For example, I got the IP address 192.168.10.1 for this first host, which is the host A, and I got 192.168.10.2 for the host B. If these two are connected together like this, let's say a crossover cable connects between these two, making a point-to-point, they can ping each other, they can talk to each other because they're using the IPv4 address. We're gonna focus as well on how we can subnet this, or how we can apply a correct subnet mask, but this is gonna be in our next video. For instance, for now, understand that the IP address, the IPv4, is the number that you give for the PCs, for the routers, for the switches, for the network devices, to identify that network device in your topology. One of the first rules you need to understand in here is two hosts on the same network, they never ever can join the same IP address. Otherwise, we're going to have a duplicate IP address. And also the format of IPv4, it's like this. It's the number dot number dot number dot number. Each sequence of number in here we call as a octet. So octet. So we got 4 octets, and each octet has 8 bits. 8 bits times 4 equals 32 bits, which is the size of the IPv4. And the IPv4, it's always represented by decimal numbers, which makes our life really, really easy. Our brain is really used to work with decimal numbers. Which our brain doesn't like is the binary numbers, which is what the PCs understand, and especially the hexadecimal numbers. But we need to get used with that, the hexadecimal numbers, because IPv6 is just come around the corner, and probably IPv6 is going to take over of IPv4. So I'm going to see you on the next video, and the next video we're going to talk about public and private IP addresses, just the public and private IP address. So I see you there.